This video will talk about analytical data. So more and more they're requesting raw data. They don't want PDFs anymore. And I found a way to do that through Excel program that will open a PDF, copy that data through send keys from Excel, paste it into a new tab, and the code goes through a lot of mess, sorts it out, and is able to pull relevant information into a spreadsheet. I call it the PDF to Excel. All the code is written here behind this button, folder picker, to select the folder where converted PDFs are going to be held. So I have them here, water analyses. After that, you simply press create. And what this does, you can see here below, it's opening the PDF, copying the data, pasting it into a new tab. That's the first half. And then it will loop back through all the tabs and sort out the information. We did get past the first hurdle, so now it's going through each one of these tabs, sorting the information out and putting it up. On the upper right, you can see it's putting it into the table. It's important to come in here and look, checking everything. The data looks pretty good. It sure beats having to do it all by hand. And so from here, hit save and send as attachment. I could now get into the guts of it. So the create button right here, I'm going to walk through all the macros. This is what makes the table, puts all the titles in according to the template. So this formatting is taking care of all these colors. And then you can see here we have two loops that go through. Do until selection.value equals 0. And where it's going is to range A2. It's actually coming back up to this. So A2, it's going to loop through this. Do until selection.value is clears, and then it's going to offset each time down one and not to the right or left anything. So it's going to loop through each one of these until it's blank, and then it's going to stop the loop. And so what this does, it opens the PDF. It sets a lot of parameters and things up here. It opens the PDF, and then it selects all that by doing send key, typing in Control A, Control C. It's actually the way to make Excel talk to Adobe to pull the data from the PDF. And that's where the glitching happens, is because it never does exactly the same. And sometimes it does get caught up, and so in order to help with that, I've delayed it 1 second to give it some time to catch up, because you'll see the screens dance around. F4 is what's going to close out the PDF. And then we paste it into, well, there's a few error things I have going on, paste. So it's all going in there, and that does the loop. That's where most of the glitches happen. So the next loop, for I equals 2 to worksheet number. So it's going to go through each one of the sheets. Worksheet 2 is going to be whatever comes after the initial table on it, which we already built the analysis data. So that's worksheet 1, worksheet 2, and then all these ones that are hidden. It's going to loop through each one of those. The best way I've found to do it, what the guts of this does, it pastes it all to the far left. So this is what pastes from the PDF document. Actually, this is less uniform because it goes through there and sorts this data out in order to get all this info. You can decipher things from it, and that's what the code does. And so it's going to go through there, and on column AA, that gives it plenty of room to paste all of its mess. And so we're going to concatenate it all together and then change up a few things. So it actually changes up a lot of things, finding and replacing certain things, so that after that we can go in and make text to columns. And so all this junk is going to be put together here, and then parts of it, like certain characters, replace open paren as S with open paren as S, getting rid of the spacing in order to make it capable of doing a text to columns, to make it more decipherable over here. So you can see this is a bit more uniform than what's going on over here, and that's because of a lot of the find and replace and things that go on. And then we do, text to columns makes that more decipherable. Sometimes certain things don't, like system identification. A lot of times the sample date will come over into 2 different cells, and so I have different ways to deal with all that. This is pulling over the data for these, because each one of these is going to be used over in this information. Now, so the information comes from the mess over here to kind of sorting it out a little bit, and then to really sort it out right here. And then this is what gets copied into the analysis data table, like a 3-step of shifting the information around. This is just the final of what it's going to be pulled into. It goes to find system with the asterisk there, which is a wild card. It can be a blank or however many characters. So we want it to find this, and then go off one, off one, off one. As you can see, offset 1, 1, 1, 1. So go down the first 4 here, because each one of these are important to find company, well name, and sometimes this is switched around. So there's ways that I go through to deal with that, but it's basically just adding a space taking the cell from the 26 off and then 25 to the left, which is just these over here, and adding a space between them, because a long time I fought with the well name and the number of the well name not having a space between it, so I found this way to deal with it. And then it goes through and fixes the dates, formats them accordingly with some if-then statements to figure out which cell it actually is on. And then we start with the table information. This goes through a lot of, it's going to go through anhydride, gypsum, each one of those figures out the data and pulls it into the stuff. And then pulling it all together, of course, this is what's going to arrange AJ1 and calling that well name. So that writes all the titles on the third step there. And then well name, this is more troubleshooting, getting it to pull the right thing from the right place. So there's a whole lot of if statements. Sometimes the sample location, what gets pulled as the variable, sometimes what gets pulled is the same as the well name if there's no sample location into the French Creek program for the PDF. And so sometimes it'll pull that. And so finally this last redundancy, I thought I had taken care of it up here, but it only works sometimes. So if AK2, if the left 5 characters of AK2 are the same as the left 5 characters of AJ2, then AK2 is going to be blank. So that's actually what did happen. This was the same as that because it pulled sample location as the well name, and so made it blank. This is simply just telling this information to go up here in the right place. I do a lot of cells find because sometimes things change around, but if you're going to go find this, then that's an absolute reference, and that could be in any cell. I don't have to hard code to a specific cell if it's going to be jumping around this little piece of text. And then, of course, you got to tidy it up with some autofit, make the top row bold. This is what's pulling the data from up here, putting it all together. It's still part of the same loop. As you can see, the next is right here. So it's going to pull all that data into that upper left, the third step. Then it's going to take that and put it into analysis data and then jump all the way back up to, so it's a pretty giant loop right here. So this is all one loop. It goes through every tab and does all of this. And then it's going to go back to activate that, exit sub, and then of course there's some error handling and stuff here. But that's basically what it does. It just copies the data from a PDF, like pushing Control A and then Control C, and pastes it into a tab. And then sorts this information out, writes out this table, and sorts the information again, spits it out here. So this is the best thing we have going. They just need tables like this that they can enter into their programs. They don't really need to spend the hundreds of thousands of dollars